Hi, my name's Kate Sargent from the Department of Primary Industries in Victoria. I'm the EverGraze project leader for the Future Farm Industry CRC. Today I'm going to show you how to use the EverGraze feed budget and rotation planner to calculate the monthly stocking rate profile of your farm. So the first thing you have to do when you get into the calculator is click on Data Entry. Once in the Data Entry menu, click on Monthly Stocking Rate Calculator. Okay, in the Monthly Stocking Rate Calculator, it will ask you first, what's your farm area? So I'm going to say it's 800 hectares, and I'd write that in the box. Okay, the next bit is to name your sheep enterprises. So in here you can actually see two different sheep enterprises separately if you want to. Today I'm just going to have the one, which is my ewes. Okay, now down in the data entry area we've got our ewes in the green, my second sheep enterprise if I had one in blue, and my cattle enterprise down here in the red. Okay, so the first thing I have to do is enter in the number of ewes. So these ewes are going to be dry during January because I lamb in August, so the start of August, and then I wean those lambs off at the end of November, and they're all sold and gone by the end of December. So I'm selling stores in this system. So I've got my 2,000 ewes, they're 60 kilos, and their DSE rating is 1.2, and the total DSEs is 2,320. So you don't have to worry about putting in the DSE rating, the calculator does that for you once you select your weight and the number of animals you have. Okay, my cattle system, I've got 500 cows and they're 500 kilos. Now they calve down at the start of August as well, but I carry the calves on the cows through to the end of January, and then I wean them off and I carry them as weaners right through to the end of spring the following year. So they get sold off in around the end of November. So during January I've just got late lactation cows, there's 500 of them. It's worked out that my DSE rating's 14.6, the total DSE is 7,280, and my average DSE for the farm at this time of the year is 12 DSEs per hectare. Okay, so the next thing you do is you just go through and you write in to each of the cells how many head, how heavy are they for each month of the year. So let's just have a look at what happens in July. Okay, so in July I think I'm going to have my scanned ewes, and there'll be about 100 dries, there'll be 950 singles and 950 twins, and they're just in their last 2 months of pregnancy. And so you can see here the differences in DSE rating are 1.2 for the dries, 1.5 for singles and 1.7 for twins. Okay, down in my cows, I've still got my 500 cows, but now they're in their last 3 months of pregnancy. And I've weaned off the calves back in February, and I've got 490 of those. They're growing at about half a kilo a day, and they're about 300 kilos. So the total, or the average DSE per hectare for the farm is now 13.3 during that July period. Okay, so you get the general idea that you just need to add in the number of head and the average weight and for each stock class throughout the year. Alright, so let's go and have a look at what the results are. So we just go up to the top here and we say show stocking rate summary. Okay, now in the stocking rate summary you can see here that my cattle are making up the majority of my farm carrying capacity. So it's the green is the cattle and the blue is the ewes. So the ewes are making up about 30% of the stocking rate versus the cattle at about 70%, depending on the time of the year. Okay, now this is the most interesting graph, the monthly farm stocking rate. So you can see here in January we start out at about 12 DSEs per hectare, and then the calves are weaned off in February, and we go down to about 9 DSEs per hectare, and then it builds up through the winter period, and then boom, in August we're lactating for both our cows and our ewes, and then our peak stocking rate is here in November when we've got lactating cows, lactating ewes, and then obviously the the lamb weaned off, the calves are sold, and we go back down in December. Okay, so that's our monthly farm stocking rate. How does that compare to our pasture growth rate? Well, I've just got an example here of the Hamilton proof site pasture growth rates for perennial ryegrass. So if I had a system based 100% on perennial ryegrass, what I would find is that the pasture growth rate profile, and what you're looking at here is the minimum perennial ryegrass growth rate in the yellow, the average in the purple, and the maximum in the green over the 5 years that these pastures were measured. So you can see that the spring flush of the perennial ryegrass and spring dominant growth really matches the spring calving and spring lambing system that I'm running. However, what happens if we get a spring drought? So you can see here that the yellow line with the minimum pasture growth rate represents a bit of a drought year, and I think that is 2006. And you can see that if that happens, I'm probably going to run out of feed when I've got such a high stocking rate, and I'm going to end up having to supplementary feed through that period. The other problem I'm going to have with this particular growth curve is that although I'm going to have quite a bit of carryover feed from September, October through into the summer months, my quality is going to be very low through the February, March period. And perennial ryegrass can get down to as low as about 40% or 50% digestibility, and that's not going to be enough for my calves, which I'm weaning off in February. So through that February, March, April period, I'm going to have to be feeding those calves some high quality feed. On the other hand, if I have a look at the pasture quality of a lucerne pasture at the same site or a chicory pasture, you can see here that through the summer months, the digestibility of lucerne is between 60 and 80%, and the digestibility of chicory is between 60 and 75%. So during that period, potentially, we could get some quality into the system if we added lucerne or chicory. So let's have a look at the growth of the lucerne at the Hamilton proof site. You can see here that the growth can be up to about 35 kilos a day through those summer months, and what happens is that even if it doesn't grow through this September-October period, if we didn't get any rain, if you do get rain, then potentially you can save yourself the supplementary feeding costs through that period. And that's actually what happened at Hamilton. And at Wagga, they actually demonstrated that you could increase your gross margins significantly in a year that has good spring rains by having lucerne in the system, simply by finishing off the lambs instead of selling them as stores. Okay, so let's just go back to the calculator. I want to demonstrate for you the differences between the different animals throughout the year. So this last graph just shows you that for the sheep enterprise, so this is our ewes, which is the blue line, you can see that they this is our beef on the blue line. When you wean off the calves, you significantly reduce the stocking rate from about 17.5 DSEs per head down to about 5.1. So you're going right down and then building up, obviously, to lactation, and we get 15 DSEs per head over here. Okay, our steers and heifers, you can see as they're steadily growing, they increase as well throughout the year. And then you've got your ewes, which are down at 1.2, and then at peak lactation right up to 2.5. So that just shows you that the differences in energy requirements throughout the year and the different pasture requirements those animals will have. So look, that just gives you a quick summary of the feed budget and rotation planner stocking rate calculator, and hopefully you'll find that useful. For further information, go to the EverGraze website at www.evergraze.com.au, and you'll find a number of other tutorials on the different calculators in the feed budget rotation planner. Thank you very much.